Hey, Mr. Howard here with a little bit of analysis for chapters 6 and 7 of Faraday's Mirror. This will be a short video because there's not a ton to analyze here. Chapter 6 is called Montage, and that's really what it is. It's just a montage of things that are happening. You as a reader need to know that the mirror is going to take a long time to build. It's not going to be an easy thing to construct. That's important for later in the story, and I'm sort of helping to establish that, I hope. Now, there's a couple of things that I think might be important coming later. For example, Byron studying Victorian military disasters, Ishlawanda, this famous battle in which Zulu warriors defeated a British Victorian army. We know that the Victorian British went across the mirror, and so if you're a careful reader, you might be able to connect some dots here. You know, is there a British military presence on the other side? What are we foreshadowing here? That's something that you should probably be thinking about, because as an author, I am doing that. So that's important. You find out that they're going to be going on a camp out out west, and that's a little bit of foreshadowing, not some heavy foreshadowing, but just a bit. And then the next chapter is called Game Day, and of course that's sort of a double meaning. On one hand, you've got the game day being the game that Byron is playing, the hockey game, but the other is the completion of the mirror. The mirror is completed, so it's game day at the Oaks house as well as at Taylor Arena, where Byron is breaking his arm in a game. So, you know, his arm breaking is going to be an important, having trouble with my lighting here, is going to be an important device going forward, so you want to know that he has a broken arm. That they're hiding this from the parents. Attention is continuing to build. I would say this chapter, Game Day, is more about building tension than anything else. You got a little bit of characterization, especially of Charlie. You get a little bit more characterization on Charlie. But really, that's about it. And of course, the foreshadowing continues. You notice, for example, there's all these little foreshadows that hopefully you're picking up on. They're sort of symbolic allusions and foreshadows together. For example, when you went into Cole's room and you look at all the posters on his wall, you know, like Stargate, and Rush's 2112, and lots of posters that involve movies or shows, Army of Darkness, where there's a portal or some sort of a time temporal disturbance kind of a thing. You know, and that continues here. You know, he's going to Blockbuster at the end of the chapter, and Byron would like to watch Stargate or the series Gargoyles. It's sort of like a fantasy world meets the real world sort of cartoon series from the late 90s. So these are shout-outs to an earlier time, but they're also connected thematically in some ways. In one of the seasons, they keep going to a place called Avalon and Gargoyles, and so that's an intentional parallel with what's coming here. You know, and Byron is interested in watching Apollo 13. That's a callback to the rocket poster that's on the inside of his door with a fire on it. So theoretically, as a reader, you should be called back to that. But he also is interested in Interview with the Vampire. And you've noticed, if you've been paying attention, that there's a fair amount of undead imagery associated with Cole throughout. You know, like here he wants to watch Interview with the Vampire. He has those skull miniatures that he's been painting. Is that important? Am I an author? So you wanna pay attention to that too. But I think that's it. This is gonna be like a 3-minute video, and we'll call it done. They aren't earth-shatteringly important chapters, and there's nothing enormous going on in them. They just transition us from the earlier stages where we were doing a lot of exposition-y stuff to the real action starting to take off. Sort of the first phase of the novel is done here, and we're ready to move on to the second phase when the Faraday's Mirror is constructed. And that's where we're going to be when I start reading next.